Hey book friends, welcome back to the channel. So here's the thing, I really do like romantic subplots in my fantasy books. Like I love a good slow burn, I love enemies to lovers, I love the tension it brings to a story, like top notch. I love it. It's super fun, but I have not been loving the direction that current fantasy romance books are taking, in the sense that it's just entirely too spicy. I really need an intricate plot where there's like something going on. There's high stakes. I'm really rooting for our characters, and along the side, they can have kind of this romance thing that just brings like delight to the story. So those are the types of books I'm looking for. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a few of the books that I have really liked that have that kind of a premise. And then I'm going to share with you my TBR that I have like curated over lots and lots of research to try to find books that are similar to that. At least I hope they are. And so I'm going to be sharing with you my romantasy with mild spice, TBR. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back, all the things. Like I said, we're going to be talking all about romantasy books with mild spice. Hopefully, that's the plan. First, I want to talk about the books that inspired this video. So I read this early in the year and I really liked it. I liked the whole series. It's the Folk of the Air series, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. For me, I really enjoyed the world. I enjoyed our characters. I enjoyed the stakes. I enjoyed kind of what was going on, as well as the romance between Jude and Carden. And this is technically YA, and so I've been leaning more into YA, but I don't want to just stay in YA. I want to find some adult books that aren't so explicit. That's my goal. But this is one that definitely convinced me I like this kind of enemies to lovers romantasy type thing. Another one that is a little bit even more mild, in my opinion, is this series. So that's the Darker Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. I really enjoyed this series. I finished it up this year. I enjoyed our main characters. I enjoyed the romance as it was throughout the whole series. It's very minimal. Let me start there. It's very minimal in this book, but I just enjoyed it. It kind of kept me rooting for the characters. And so this level of spice I'm looking for. And so the next book is a little bit, almost too little romance, I guess. I don't know how better to say that, but that is Mistborn. So I loved this series. I think it's a fantastic, epic, high fantasy, high stakes in this world. And there is a bit of a romance. Now, I wish there was more in this book. Honestly, I loved our moments between these two characters that were in a romantic relationship. This is definitely low tier of what I'm looking for, but it still had a little bit of something. The hard thing is this would never be marketed as a romantasy, nor should it, ever, right? But I still enjoyed that aspect of it. And the same with this series that I read this summer. So now this had a little bit more marketing, or a little inclination based on the synopsis on the back that there was going to be a romance plot. And there was, and it was more than this, for sure. But the world was so big and so epic. And this is The Blighted Stars by Megan E. O'Keefe. It's the Devoured Worlds series. I really enjoyed it. It's a sci-fi series that has this big kind of entity that's like taking over worlds, and they have to solve it. And there's these two main characters who are a bit on opposing sides. It's so good. It's so good. So these books kind of helped me really realize that I love that in books. The problem is I buy into some of the romantasy hype, and that's okay. That's okay, I can do that. But I feel like I've been a little bit more disappointed because it's not quite my taste. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to find that. And I've scoured the internet, Reddit posts, YouTube videos, Instagram reels, you name it. I have looked up romantasy books with mild spice, and I have a fairly good list going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what I have first, and then I'm going to share with you what I'm going to get from the library, because I don't want to commit to these books in case I don't like them. But I am in the middle of Throne of Glass. I'm on this one, Queen of Shadows, book 4. I always forget. I've enjoyed this. This definitely is very plot forward. There's some romance subplots, but it is not the main forefront of the story, and I'm enjoying that. So Throne of Glass is definitely on my TBR, which that's what I'm doing now. I'm giving you my TBR with the hopes that you guys will give me some more recommendations down below, especially if you can start to feel the vibe of what I'm looking for. Another book that's on my TBR was a recommendation from one of you guys, and that's A Tale of Stars and Shadows by Lisa Cassidy. I think this is an indie published book. I'm actually not quite sure what it has to do with. Definitely it's a warrior type book, a strong female main character, some romance. That's my idea of that. I'm not quite sure. I was also recommended this one by somebody, and that's Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler. Now, I'm pretty sure this doesn't have too much romance in it because when you look it up, there is no information about that, which again, that's what I'm looking for. So that makes this TBR very hard to craft, but I'm hoping it kind of lands similar to something like this. That's my hopes. So this is about, I think, siblings. Yes, it's about siblings and magic and an empire. The next one is the next series in the Shadowhunter world, and that's the Infernal Devices. Yes, that's what it's called. So this one's the first one, Clockwork Angel, and it's by Cassandra Clare. I enjoyed the Mortal Instruments trilogy last year. It was fun and engaging. It had some things in it that I didn't love, but overall I like the world. I like the idea of these people who protect the world against monsters or demons or whatever. And so I'm excited to get into more of this. Okay, I also have this book. So that's Air Awakens, book 1 by Elise Kova. Now, I don't know much about this. I think it might be YA. Has to do with a library apprentice and some prince. I think a sorcerer's prince, and I think she has to save him, something like that. I think it sounds good. I've been intrigued by this book for so long. And when I looked it up on Fabled, which actually I forgot to mention that, is the Fabled app. I'm not totally sold on, but it does mention the spice level. And I really, really appreciate that. And so I would check Fabled to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding a book. I just didn't want it to be super spicy. And so that's been helpful. Another book on my physical TBR is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Now, so many of you have recommended this to me as kind of a mild romantasy type book where it's not super, super spicy. And I still don't really know what it's about. There's a girl and there's a monster and there's a forest and a highwayman. I really don't know. I think this is the most confusing synopsis ever. Every time I try to talk about this book, I have no idea what it's about. So I just need to read it clearly. But that one's on my list as well. Okay, this one, I have heard that the first book is very mild spice. I don't know about the rest of the series. Again, please let me know if you have read this. So this is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent, who is the author of Serpents and the Wings of Night, which I really appreciated, even though that is not mild spice. So don't consider that a recommendation. I just really liked kind of the slow burnness of the first book along with the competition aspect. That's an example of a book where the plot was so heavy and so intriguing, and I believed the romance that I felt like the spicy scenes were just fine. I could handle them. It wasn't off-putting to me. I mean, the second book wasn't as much my favorite, but anyway, back to this book. I've heard that this is better, that this is about a girl who was in slavery, and somehow she's trying to kind of free herself, and she has to apprentice under somebody. Not actually sure what this book is about. But again, it's on my list for reasons that I've heard it is less on the spicy, more on the plot. And then this one, I did not realize it was slightly romantasy until I heard somebody else talk about it. And I was like, really? I picked this up because I thought it was going to be more of a like epic high fantasy that has to do with like a group of bandits who has to like try and kill a king. No, kill a god king. It's on my list because I've heard that it has a romantic subplot and it's on my shelves. And so those are the ones that are on my shelves. Now I have a number of other books that I want to get from the library that actually I think might even be better than the ones I currently own. I just wanted to show you what I owned because I like to read off my shelves. But the first book I want to talk about that I don't have physically is The Jasad Heir. From what I understand, this is a story that has to do with like an heir to the throne that doesn't know she's the heir, or maybe she's in hiding, and then she runs into somebody that is like suspicious of her in some way, and there's some romance that is involved. And I think the next book in that series is coming out sometime, but I've heard this is very, very slow burn in its romance plot. And then Light Lark and Nightbane. Those two books have been recommended to me because it has to do with a competition, like in a world where for some reason like there's these islands that appear like every 100 years, and then all the different groups or islands have to fight for something. And our main character is involved in the competition in some way. So I'm not quite sure where the romance comes in that, but I've heard really good things. And then The Foxglove King. This is by, I think, Hannah Witten or something like that. And I think this has to do with some sort of like necromancy magic. And then this girl who is forced into, I don't know if it's a fae court or some kind of maybe just political court where she has to like serve the king or something to that notion. Don't know where the romantasy comes, but I like the sound of that plot. So The Foxglove King is definitely on my list. And then Once Upon a Broken Heart. This one got recommended so many times. And some people recommend reading the Caravel trilogy. Some people are like, you can read it all by yourself. I'm not quite sure. And from what I understand, this book is about like this girl who doesn't want to get married or something like that. And in order to escape getting married, she strikes a bargain with like, it's not a prince of hell, it's like a prince hearts or something like that, but along those lines. And he's like a tricky kind of person, but I think he might be the love interest. I don't know, people rave about this story. And I think it's kind of closed door romance. Not 100% sure on that, but it's on my list. And again, please know these are my TBR books, so I'm not quite sure on the spicy level, but I'm pretty sure based on my research. And then another one that was recommended was Enchantment of Ravens. And this sounds like it's about a girl who like is a really good painter or something like that. And she accidentally paints something associated with like a fae prince that was bad, and she gets whisked into the realm of the fae and has to stand trial. I don't really know. It sounds really interesting though. Another book that is on every list when you ask for like mild spice and romantasy or no spice is Defy the Night. And I think this one has to do with a world where there's like the sickness, or all the poor people are constantly getting sick, and this woman who is like a healer or something is trying to help, and in order to do that she has to like sneak out and find this flower or something like that to help everybody, except I think she gets caught by one of the princes who is in charge of like stopping people from doing this. Maybe, I don't know, but it's on my list. I think I would like that. These all sound really good. And the next one is Daughter of the Drowned Empire. First, I like this cover. It's got a historical fantasy kind of flair to it with a little bit of romantasy. It sounds like it's about this girl who is part of the royal family maybe, but not high up in the royal family. And then like her father dies and things change. I'm not quite sure, again, where the romance comes in, but it could be good. And I really do like historical fantasy, so I could go for that. The next one I'm tentative to put on here because I think the first book is little to no spice, but I'm not sure about the rest of the series. And that's Lady of Darkness by Melissa Rourke, I think. But what I understand this to be about is about a main character who is an assassin, kind of like, I think forced assassin, like for some reason, like almost like enslaved. Her and her sisters are enslaved to this assassin guy. And then I don't actually know where it goes from there. But everybody has been really liking it. And again, it's something that I've seen enough about, but I've also gleaned the fact that some people don't like it because it's not spicy or it's too slow burn. So I was like, oh, I'm writing that down. It's going on my list because that sounds like my kind of book. Along with Powerless. So yes, I have not read Powerless. I have not read Fourth Wing. I feel like Fourth Wing's one of those that like I might end up reading. It's kind of like ACOTAR, maybe just because I want to understand the hype, but I'm kind of shying away from it because I feel like both of those have more spice than what I'm talking about. But back to Powerless. Powerless was one that has come up a lot. It's been very popular. It's been compared to Hunger Games, like a romantasy based Hunger Games, which I love Hunger Games. I just did a reread of that whole series. And so I've been hesitant to pick up Powerless because I didn't want the comparison to be too strong in my head. But I think we're getting far enough away from that I'm going to put it on my list because I hear it doesn't have as much spice. So Powerless is on my list. All right, I have another one on my list and it's called The Lord of Stariel. So this actually might be the one where I just said the synopsis and I think I said it for the wrong book. Sorry about that. So this is the one where there's like the father has died and the girl is like part of the royal family, but something happens. And the question of like who's gonna like take over, and her role in that is this book, not the other book, which was the Drowned Kingdom world. And the last thing on my list is Blood and Steel. This is the one I'm not as sure of. I think this one might have more spice, but I've heard it's slow burn, and the main plot I believe has to do with this girl who wants to be a warrior in a world that women can't pick up swords or something to that notion. I'm not sure about the spice level on that one, but that is the last book on my kind of library TBR when I get to those books. And so yeah, I will definitely keep you updated. Please don't take this TBR as for sure that these are low spice. They might not be. I might be wrong. So please do your own research if this is something you are looking for, because I feel a little bit in the minority when it comes to romantasy and wanting not all the spice. And I really just want more of the depth of the characters, the depth of their relationships, and a just really solid plot where I can just really get behind the characters and I feel for the situation, if that makes sense. But please, 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 please let me know if you have any recommendations for me when it comes to this genre. But if you don't have anything necessarily to say, let's do a sword. This seems very fitting for romantasy. A sword or a heart or something like that down below. Leave me an emoji to let me know you were here. Otherwise, like the video if you like it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys for the next book video. All right, guys, take care.